Alright, I know what all four of you are thinking. Why is this video a week late? The answer is quite simple. I was arrested and it took me a week to break out of the Slammerino. That is honest as shit the actual answer, and anyone who denies that should go to fucking prison just like I did. Another quick thing, I was told it might go towards increasing the quality of my videos if I put some gameplay footage or something behind them. Now, I'm blind and I don't know how to read or count, and I'm so lazy that I can only make these videos in the 2 hours a day I'm not sleeping or eating fast food, so I can't promise that I'll be able to do this every single time, but this week's video will have some footage behind it. And I'll try to get footage for as many games as I can in the future. Anyway, dumb rants aside, I promised that this week I'd review Outlast, and since Outlast is a game that everyone seems to talk about when horror games are brought up, maybe even to the point of being the new Amnesia, if not for the absence of honest-to-shit untalented Europeans pretending to be angry parrots while playing it, there's a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. The story for Outlast is kind of similar in many respects to the storytelling conventions of earlier games, where it felt like the writers and level designers were encouraged to write huge amounts of flavor text describing everything from the main antagonist's eating habits, to why the female love interest's left pinky fingernail is slightly shorter than the right one, but never to make it mandatory that the player read or understand or care about any of it for the enjoyment of the main game. This is dissimilar to the likes of Spooky's House of Jump Scares because in that game, I would argue that the flavor text is more than half of the enjoyment of the game itself, and choosing to ignore it turns the game from a fun, indie horror experience to watching your weeaboo-ass nephew play with Cheeto-stained paper cutouts of SpongeBob characters in a cardboard box, because your shitbag brother is too damn cheap to buy the kid toys. This is a double-edged sword, however, because while no-life assholes like me eat flavor text and lore up like a Moe's burrito covered in melted Skittles, the average player, I would imagine, would probably think that Outlast is quite brain-dead and generic story-wise. Truth be told, since so very much of the story is only ever told via cum-stained files you find in the mouths of corpses and wedged up in clogged urinals by a disgruntled bathroom user, I can't honestly say I blame anyone who does have that impression, but for what it's worth, the story that you do find when you dig is a lot deeper than one would think, and in my opinion does add to the enjoyment of the game a lot. I won't go into too much detail, but I will recap. You are Bruce Winch- wait, his name was already a pun? Red Barrels, if you're watching this, please let me do my job. You are Bruce Winchell, just your average journalist who loves breaking and entering and can only communicate through passive-aggressive notebook entries. You get a suspicious email from the protagonist of DLC informing you that Ronald McDonald House Charity and Vector Corporation have teamed up to make an insane asylum. You naturally think that's a bit sus, so you jet down there to take a look. Horror of varying degrees ensues. I'd tell you more, but in keeping with the spirit of the game, you'll have to find all the data entries. Or I guess use the wiki, you soulless assholes. The rest of the game is spent running away from the pissed-off mental patients who have been sold too many shitty knives and been told that they don't serve breakfast past 10:30 AM a bit too much, none of which are more pissed off than Chris Walker, a man who looks like my dad and wants to rip off Bruce's handsome normie face like his head was the skin of a grape. That segues nicely into the gameplay, because it, in typical fashion, is mostly just running and hiding from scary dudes. This game's things that make the game still fun despite not being combat-based are having really smooth, well-programmed running systems, having really well-laid-out levels that are conducive to quick escapes, and most importantly, the camera. Bruce carries a camera with him, which allows him to do three things. For one, he can see in the dark using the night vision setting, which, unlike a torch or flashlight, nobody else can see. 2, he can record events, many of which give you additional flavor text if recorded in time, and 3, it means you have to constantly search for batteries, which is an interesting game design choice in that it is annoying. That's about it for the gameplay and story on their faces. But I know what you're wondering, is it scary? Well, the answer is yes, of course it's scary. It took the Amnesia style of horror, mixed it up, and made it about 10 times more relatable, and sent you in with a firm slap on the ass and a request to check out the noise in the basement. Overall, I find myself totally recommending another horror game. For what it's worth, this game is really a thoroughly good horror title, and while it's hardly the most unique in the world, it does everything it needs to, and does it really well. Basically everything my last job told me I needed to do if I didn't want to have my fingers cut off for poor performance. So maybe if I bring my copy of Outlast back to Vector, they'll give me my old job back. Hey, you still there? Good. I just wanted to make a few announcements. These reviews are still going to be made, and I'm still going to try and upload one video a week, but I want to try and release different kinds of videos. So next week's video may not be about games at all, or if it is, it may not be a review, or if it is, it may not be about horror. I don't want to give away too much, but for the few of you who care, expect some variety from this channel going forward. Thanks for listening, join me next week, and we'll see what we can do about your mean stepdad.
I am glad to be shopping here with you. I will say